here on your holy Sabbath day. Thank you for giving us another week to praise your name of what you did for us this past week, Lord. Thank you for letting us study your word so we can uplift you in learning about education, Lord, and the importance of it. In Jesus' name I pray, Lord, please be with those on their way today. And thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. The Christian and work. The Christian and work. Let's all go to the memory text. 1 Corinthians 15:58. 1 Corinthians 15:58. I'm just going to try something and see if it's going to work. Kim, do you have that? Can you say that verse? No? She can't? Okay, all right. Carl, are you there? Do you have your book ready? If you don't, I might ask y'all to call on y'all for some different things, but we will try that. Just unmute yourself, and then you can go ahead and talk. So right now, Xavier, do you have 1 Corinthians 15:58? Okay. We really need to get you a mic. It's some good scriptures. Clyde, can you give him that mic right there so we don't have to go too far? 1 Corinthians 15:58 is our memory text.
It reads, therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as you know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord.
Wow. Your labor is not in vain in the Lord. I love the first sentence of this on Sabbath afternoon. Work is God's idea. It's not something that we're just coming up with, is it? Work is God's idea. The ideal world before sin, God gave Adam and Eve the task of caring for the garden. Now, just reading that right there, you think, oh, they didn't have much to do. They just walked around and looked, and it was just a breeze to do everything. Was it?
No.
You don't think so? Wait a minute. Now, we're talking about before sin. Do you think Adam and Eve, they was keeping the garden and caring for the garden? So before sin, how do you think they felt about caring for the garden? Is what I'm getting at. It was.
Because they.
I can hear you.
It was because God had put them in there to dress it and to keep it.
Yeah.
So He put them in there for a purpose, not just to look at it, but He put it in there so they could dress it, take care of it. But
it was a joy to do it, is what I'm getting at. It wasn't like, man, I gotta go.
No, it was great. It was great.
Yes, it was wonderful. They enjoyed doing the work and caring for the garden. And so that was the first job. And it was in the beginning. It was even before sin. Sometimes people think after sin is when the work came, but it was before sin. And so it was just wonderful that they could see everything in its beauty. They didn't have the weeds that we have today, do they? They go out and do the gardening. You got to till the garden. You got to get the weeds out.
They didn't have.
It was a pleasure for them because it gave them something to do. And I don't think they realized it was work until after sin.
Yes.
And then once sin occurred, then they realized it was work. So
yes.
I think it was a pleasure, like on an exotic trip for them.
Yes.
They enjoyed it.
And then how many must enjoy gardening, enjoy cutting the yard, enjoy painting. There is some things that we do enjoy. It might be work, we might be tired after it, but we do. God has given us enjoyment in work.
I think we all enjoy the bugs and rabbits and deers coming around and it is work.
I think the maintaining of the garden and grass and everything, and looking at its beauty. I don't think it would have grown out of control before seeing, but like Dan was saying, after seeing, things started to look a little different. So
Yeah.
now the work got a little bit more intense than enjoyment than it was in the beginning.
It says we are invited to view work as one of God's blessings. Among the Jews, every child was taught a trade. In fact, it was said that a father who didn't teach his son a trade, do y'all see what it says? He would do what?
Raise a criminal.
Raise a criminal.
Well, that's almost like it is today, because if you see people that doesn't work today, don't go up and go to the job, the order for them to acquire the means of living, usually be criminal activity behind it.
Yeah. So was Jesus, when he came here as a young boy, did he knew he was Jesus and God. So did he think he didn't have to work?
No, because that was a custom. As you see it, they taught him a trade. Every father taught him a trade, so Joseph taught him a trade.
Yes. And
And
don't you like that Jesus, the family that God put him with, was a working family. He didn't put Jesus with a family that had a sit-down business and he wasn't in the office and he wasn't the tax collector's son where he just sat up there. I'm not saying it's a bad job. I'm not saying you shouldn't do this. But Jesus, when he came here, he worked. It brings out the Apostle Paul, when he was doing the Lord's work, what did he do? He worked alongside Aquila and Priscilla for a year and a half as a tent maker, as he was on Sabbath debating in the synagogue. So he worked, and then he went to the church and he taught people, So all because he was a minister and a missionary for the Lord, he still worked. We sometimes are taught that if you're that minister, you that high person for the Lord, you don't need to clean the church. You don't need to have a job. You just come and you speak up here. You put your money in so that man up there can have an easy life. That is a misconception that so many people have. That's why people don't like coming to church and putting in their tithes and offering. And I might be getting ahead of myself, but it talked about the widow, and she put the money in. It was her last money. She wasn't worried about what they was going to use that money for. She just did as God told her to do in putting in the money. She knew it was so important. Let me go on over, y'all, to Sunday.
Let me just
Go ahead.
comment. So what we learn here is working is a part of Christianity.
Yes.
So if you don't work, are we sinning against God? Because he made man to work. He put us on earth here to work. And if we don't work, all these tricksters who are rich people and drugs or whatever, they don't work, so they're sinning against God, I believe, according to what we learn here. Do you agree with that or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes to also when we work, we glorify God by doing the right things because we support our family. And plus, God said if you work honestly, you will be blessed.
Let's go over to Sunday and somebody read that in your lesson, Ecclesiastes 3:12 and 13. And I think that instead of me answering the question, what does this say in Ecclesiastes 3:12 and 13?
Bible says, I know that there is no good in them, but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life, and also that every man should eat and drink, enjoy the good of all his labor. It is the gift of God. So there it is right there. So it lets us know that when we do work and enjoy it, we get to eat. You know, we get to buy things that we, want
Yes.
within reason according to God. And also, it is a gift.
Yes. Now, sometimes we might not get monetary pay. You might go help somebody and they might take you out to eat, or you might just feel good because you help somebody when you go to that job. Say, when you first start working, even though you work so hard in camp and, that was a different job because you stayed there. But how did you feel when you got that paycheck, from the labor that you did? And I know Xavier would say how he talked to some of the young people and he helped them, and he got it made him feel good from his work. Are you ready to come up here? Okay. Our teacher is here. I'm just filling in because we work together, and so. But it makes you feel good, God knowing, and then when you pay your tithes, and even no matter how much it is, I don't know how to get this thing off of me, but we will figure it out. Alvin, y'all give us a few minutes and we're going to switch up.
Vicki, down in also, if you go down and on that same page, it says work to give a person a sense of worth. The work is a common way to answer the questions, what do you do, or even what are you? Most retirees continue to work part-time as long as they are able, whether for pay or as a volunteer. When a job offers a reason for getting up in the morning, gives a teenager a job, and there's one few candidates for the weakness. So it gives us a sense of work. It seems like we are doing something for God, doing our part as when we do work and everything.
I just want to say one thing. That's why we teach our kids about work. We teach them how to do the money, because if you don't want the kids to, when they get their money, I ain't giving you none of my money. I'm not going to help around the house. I remember when we worked, we helped if it was food that was needed. We helped in the house. I love my dad's story. He worked at the grocery store. His mom called down there and bring home this, bring home that. He said about time he got his check, he had enough for a pair of jeans and shoes for him to indulge. Wasn't much money left at the end of the week, because he helped with the family. So what day were y'all? Just Sunday. Okay. Don't work. I always tell Marshawn, a man don't work, don't eat. So he doesn't understand, comprehend when a person, especially when somebody's grown, don't work. He don't know. He was like, Mama, why they don't work? I said, look, a man don't work, don't eat. And it says that in my Bible. Did we go over?
A lot of times that's kind of hard to comprehend.
Yeah.
Because, and it's not talking about because you don't have a job, you go somewhere else to eat. That's fine. I mean, family takes care of people that's not out of a job. But if you deliberately not want to work,
just lazy.
And you will feel the effects of that. Yeah. You might not think of it in a Christian way, but yeah, if you're not working, you're not going to eat, because you're going to always be hungry. You're going to always be looking for something.
Mm-hmm. I remember, I know quite a few. I know quite a few adults that don't believe their kids should work. They shouldn't do housework. They shouldn't do work because they're in school. Was that Paul?
Well, his mother, he learned how to work, but his mother didn't think that boys.
Oh.
His mother didn't think that boys should do anything in the house. So when we lived with them and Robert was in there doing the dishes, and I'm serious, his mom was crying, what if he don't want to get married? Who's gonna go over and clean up his house? I'm not. But Clyde, when we got married, he wanted to learn more about the inside of the house. When he went to college, he had to learn how to wash his clothes then, didn't he?
Yeah.
That's, look, you gonna go to college, just imagine if you got some $50 shirts and you throw them all together and mess them up.
Yeah. But it's a lot of people out there like that. And like I tell you, I feel so sorry for kids when they do get pushed on their own. They don't know anything.
Right.
I mean, the job I have, we do a lot of cleaning and everything, and I have teenage kids can't mop. They don't know how to use the mop bucket. I'm like, you put the mop in there, and they looking at me like, I said, you go back. Simple things that I'm thinking like, okay, you have to know how to mop, but they don't know how to do the simplest things. And it's up to parents because I always tell my kids the biggest thing I want y'all to know is that I want to know that y'all can do for yourselves. You have to be able to do for yourselves. Okay, anything else on Sunday's lesson?
I don't know if you mentioned, but one of the, God put work, he in the Garden of Eden. And one of the things that I liked is that, giving a teenager a job keeps them out of delinquency and other stuff. It keeps your mind,
Occupied. In my family, we are dealing with that right now. And it's not that the one in my family didn't have a job, the persons they were hanging with didn't have a job. So when he got in trouble, he blamed everybody. So it's like, because you don't have nothing to do, you don't want to get in trouble, so now you just put everybody in it. So yes, people who don't have jobs are not working for something, it's.
Well, how about when some of the kids, they have worked, they've grown up working, but then they see that child over there and they got a car, they got money, and they ain't working for it. So this guy over here is working and they like, man, he's getting all that and he ain't working. But still, the guy that knows how to work is looking the wrong way. So if something does happen in life, at least they have something to come back to. They was taught the right way, But it's so much of that. Man, they getting this and they getting that. They got that car, they got them clothes, they ain't working. They sitting there playing the game.
And I wish I knew which Bible. There's a couple of Bible stories that come to mind. It was the one when I don't remember. Oh, I'm so bad. I don't remember where it was. When he was just looking at the people, he was like, they got so much and they don't work for it, but I'm in here just working hard. Oh, I don't remember that one. And it's also the ones who came and worked at the 11th hour. They got the same amount as the ones who were working all
That's the
day.
prodigal son, he got mad at his older brother that left.
Mhm.
Because he's sitting there working and sweating at the house, but he gave his inheritance and he went on and wandered it off.
Yeah.
But it taught me to appreciate things that you get. When I started working, because when you're in school, your parents pretty well take care of your clothes and most basic needs that you have. But when you graduated, my first thing my dad told me, you got a place to stay, you can eat, but I'm not gonna make a living for you. That's the first thing he said, and I, when I went to college, it kind of gave me a sense of, oh man, I know what you're talking about. I gotta fit myself. Because at the college, me and Willie, which we good friends, after you eat that dinner, then you about to start death before morning breakfast comes, because you got to figure out how to eat between that time to get your snack. So, it kind of gives you that, once you learn how to work and then you appreciate life a little bit more instead of someone always want to take and give. That's why people are always in trouble. They end up being criminals because they want to take it and they don't appreciate nothing that they get anyhow once they get it.
And one thing that, like Vicki was saying, the other person's working honestly and You don't see very much like the other person that isn't, cars or money. But we also have to remember that it's just not, we were put here on earth just to work. It goes to work, and also in our work, we're supposed to minister to other people.
What about Cain and Abel? They was taught how to work. And then Cain, he started having another idea, of what he wanted to give and not be obedient, with his offering. And so that's another thing that I can't remember if that gets that in the lesson about obedience to your money, teaching your kids how to.
Well, to me, that kind of go along with your skills, because you are skilled in certain things, you put that above everything else. And just because you can do something, to me, don't mean that's what you're supposed to. How should I put this? Just because you're really good at something, don't mean that's the only thing you're supposed to do, or you're supposed to glorify yourself over that thing. And a lot of people do that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, and I think that's right, because like if Jesus probably wasn't been a carpenter, he might have became another trade or something, but could have come in a financial thing in that company. So you could do a lot of things within the company of where you're at. You might not be physically able to do that, but you might do something else that enhances the business even more. You could be a salesman. Like my job, it has 5 different departments. You got people that go in and install them, I service them. You got people that go out and sell them. All these work together in one company. So the same way in a family business, everybody may not be physically able to do the work.
Okay, so let's just go on into Monday's lesson, where it's talking about vocation, or work deals with the doingness of life. Even those with the most cerebral of jobs end up in the same way doing physical labor of some sort, even if it means merely pushing computer keys. As that goes with your different levels of talent. Someone want to read Deuteronomy, what do the following texts teach us about work using hands as a symbol? Let's read Deuteronomy 16:15. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If everyone grab one of those verses.
I'll take Deuteronomy 16:15, which is King James Version. 7 days shalt thou keep a solemn feast unto the Lord thy God in a place which the Lord shall choose. Because the Lord thy God shall bless thee in all thy increases and in all the works of thy hand, therefore thou shalt surely rejoice. God is saying that, if you be blessed and continue in your work with your hands, God is going to bless you with what you do. I just want to say this right quick, because when I was at, I can do quite a few different jobs, and none of them I didn't start out doing, but it was one job that I did in the UNARCO that I just didn't like. Not that I could do it, but it was to the point where when I come home, I fall asleep, couldn't even take a shower, wake up the next morning, have to go to work. That's how tired I was. Like, this job ain't for me, But I did it till I changed jobs. I just didn't quit. And God blessed, because I ended up getting better paid in the job itself.
Ecclesiastes 9:10.
Yeah. This is whatsoever my hand findeth to do, do with thy might. For there is no works, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave whither thou goest. That is heavy. That is heavy.
Yeah, that's very understandable. That verse.
Yes. So it's that is self-explanatory, without a doubt. And then a little bit further down, you mentioned if you work, you have something to share with other people. And sometimes, perhaps, you heard people say, "Oh, that poor person, I would help them if I could. So that means either they're not working or they don't make enough to help them and be, and themselves at the same time. So it's very important to work, and you feel that you're a part of society if you do work.
Yeah, but also I think with the statement you just made, if you see somebody in need, I had this conversation last night with someone, and we were talking about tithes and offering. And I was like, well, I didn't know that tithe and offering wasn't only your money. I was like, well, no, it's time and everything that you do. Excuse me. And I was telling them that, and it was like, well, I give what I can. I said, a lot of people have that attitude, but you don't understand. You've been able, if you have $100 and you're only giving $10, what are you losing? Nothing. You still have $90 to do what you want to do. Giving honestly and for the Lord is a sacrificial giving. If you believe that God is going to provide for you. So if you see somebody like me, I would give my last. I don't have much, never had much. I've never been one to have a lot. So as long as I have a little bit now, I'm gonna give you a little bit. And I believe a lot of people, because especially with the way things are going now, I have to be able to take care of my stuff. But as Christians, I remember this one woman told me, she said, as Christians, we don't have the, how did she put it? I lost my train of thought. As Christians, and we know that, and we truly believe that God will provide for us, our sacrificial giving, it shouldn't even be a thought. When someone is in need, give. God gave it to you anyway, it's not even yours. Give. If someone in a bigger need than you, give it. That's how we're supposed to be. And with our skills, your skill, God blesses us with the skills that we have, but not to keep it to ourselves, but it is to help other people. But you have to give sacrificially. Proverbs 21:25.
The desire of the sluggard puts him to bed, for his hands refuse to work.
Man.
Elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, I could never even.
Don't eat anything.
That's it. Don't work on be lazy.
Wendy, you know, they're at the house right now, and I'll come home and then, Mom, I'm hungry. Gabby hasn't fed me. You have two hands. This is your house, your kitchen, you know. Go for it.
That's the same.
Some kids have to wait to be told. They know they should do it, but, well, you didn't tell me to do it, so I didn't do it. But that's your job, but you didn't tell me.
You know, yeah, I mean, I know some guys that don't work, but most things I see in my generation was coming up is more guys dating on the women, so they wouldn't have to work. And that, you know, it never come out good at the end anyhow, but, you know, and back to, you know, when you learn how to work is about letting us know and we be blessed, that means that we can help others in need. And not looking for anything to gain out of it, but that's just helping them in a place to help them up. And I think that's pretty good. To help us to learn how to work. But, you know, it's pretty clear. You know, if you don't work, you know, you end up being a criminal, is what the earlier one said, because what are you going to do? You're not going to go to work, so you're going to have to do something to collect money to get your needs and what you need. And in order to get them, you got to take it.
In addition to that, too,
You also have to remember that not only eating, you don't sleep as well. So we have to add those two together. You have to be a criminal because you have to sleep out in the cold someplace and still to eat. So you put these two together and you'll see where it's coming from.
me and Joyce, we used to clean houses, and we worked for these people, and the man, he became the CEO of this big company, and had a big old house, and, so it was a picture there, a little picture, and, the lady told us that it always reminds her of where they came from. And, so both of her kids worked. They had a day bed with the trundle. The girl got the top, the boy had the trundle in his room. Wasn't nothing fancy when you went upstairs. They did have a nice, where you eat at? Dining room, formal dining room and stuff. She's the one who talks about coupons. And, you know, we have to remember where we came from. Some people don't want their kids growing up the way they did, so they try to give them too much. Our dad, he made a little step stool when we was little, and we was doing dishes so we could reach the water, you know. And it's our job as parents, even though we might not have been brought up that way to clean up like Clyde wasn't. You have to see God. By God in your life, He teaches you that this is a good thing to work together. You know, we learned how to sew. So my school clothes, when I worked in the summer, I got to have some, I went and bought blouses at this cheaper place, but I made all my pants and skirts. They taught us how to sew. My sisters sew. And so, how many girls learn how to sew now? Do you have a machine at your house?
Yeah, I
You
actually.
repair your clothes or you throw them out?
Yes.
You know, my zipper's broke, my button's off, I need a new coat. How many kids do that?
I was telling them, but I was happy to have home ec in school, so we learned how to sew and do it. They don't do that in schools anymore. But I remember when the May loves to do crafts. Like 2 years ago for her birthday party, she wanted to sew pillows. So she had like 5 friends over there. I had like 18 kids in my apartment spending the night. The little kids sewing their pillows, I helped them do it, and they sewed fine. The teenagers made pillows horrible. Horrible. They couldn't thread the needle, they couldn't do straight lines, they couldn't do anything. And I'm like, this generation, what are y'all doing? They don't cook, they don't. But most parents, and I know most people my age, they don't teach their kids anything. All they learn at the schools, they teach them, they ain't gonna learn it. I learned that at school. My mother knew how to do all that stuff, but my mother was the type of mother. She made us clean. Cleaning was, if we didn't make our beds, we were grounded for a weekend. Like you growing, your bed ain't made. Like I used to sleep on top of my bed. I found the lazy way. I'm telling you, I found the lazy way. I was like, I just fold this blanket up and put it on there, but I figured out some laziness. And after reading this stuff, I realized how lazy I need to get myself together, how lazy I can really, really be. And but like cooking, my mother never liked, and I think that's why I don't like cooking now. She didn't like us in the kitchen with her. She didn't like people in the kitchen. Now she wants us to, y'all gonna help me cook. My sister said, remember, you didn't like us in the kitchen. You better start over with your grandkids. So now she dealing with her grandkids, but she didn't do it with us. So I don't like cooking, both my other sisters do. But it is the way you raise your kids. And sewing and kids are so spoiled. Everything is so convenient nowadays. They don't want to learn skills and how to do anything. And that's why you have to really proactively teach or give these examples to the kids and the teenagers now, because other than that, they're not going to do it.
And that's what's causing people to be lazy.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it is, because of convenience that people have. You got the microwave, you ain't got to cook everything prepared, just throw it in there and heat it up. You know, you don't have to do anything, you know, so you got these 1-minute meals that you can eat. Nobody sits down and.
They're delivering them now too. I was riding along this mom's catering. She delivered whole meals. You just have to warm it up. I'm like, wow.
I do have to tell on Xavier. He works. He has this hard job he works at. You know, he's a lifeguard. So he guards the people. And so one day he came home and I said, y'all need to do the dishes, or y'all need to, do the trash. Carla needs to do it. I've been to work.
Wow.
She's working harder now, she is. She can cook her own breakfast, she can make her oatmeal and noodles, and she can make her a sandwich by herself, and she's learning. And this is, she's supposed to, but it tickled me, because sometimes you have that attitude, I work, so you do it,
That's what I like about Pathfinders is good because it teaches the kids certain things and skills that they need in case they could go out and it's cold and you need to stay warm and how to make a fire. And you can make little foods with little certain things that you can do, so you have to teach them, because if you don't teach them, the society is going to get lazier and lazier. And that's not good.
And Jeremiah 1:16. I will utter my judgment against them concerning all their wickedness, because they have forsaken me, burned incense to other gods, and worship the works of their own hands. Again, we already touched on that. People not using their skills for God, and God is the one who gave it to them.
I like that thing at the paragraph. It says, while the work of our hands is God's blessing to us and allows us to live a meaningful life, the ultimate plan that the work of our hands would bless others.
Amen. Amen.
I think a lot of people don't realize the skills that they have are, you are given that skill to bless others.
That's right.
And no, this is what I do. I worked hard for it, so this is all for me. And that's the attitude, especially with this generation now. Everything is about me. Me. I do this for me. Can't nobody tell me what to do with this. This is mine. This is me.
We went to the church in Wagner. There was a couple that moved down south. And he was building a house. And he said, man, I'm building a house and I don't know what the sheetrock. I said, well, when you get ready for it, let me know. I come down there and we'll sheetrock the whole house. And I waited on him. He ended up doing it himself, and put himself in a pretty good bind. And then when I finally seen him, I said, what about your house? He said, well, I already did it. I won't do that again. I'm like, well, I told you I was coming to help you. He said, well, I'm going to pay you. I said, no, I didn't ask for no pay. I like, that was the reason why I said I was coming to help. I was coming to help you so you get it, because I was skilled in that area to get it done faster and do it the right way. But, he was looking at paying somebody,
I think a lot of people will deny or feel ashamed because they don't have, you automatically feel when you ask somebody for a favor that you have to compensate them for it.
Clyde went and helped Candace's friend's father. He was sheetrocking, maybe this big, Marcia Maria. He had got that sheetrocking lip thing, and he pushed the
2 sheets to take about 4 hours to hang.
And so he finally asked Clyde, and Clyde and Robert went over there. He said, oh my goodness. He was putting all the sheets straight by each other, and whatever he was doing, it wasn't right. And he didn't understand, but he was trying to do it himself. It's so important. God gives us one another. That's why we do have a network here in the church that we can call on one another. But we do always want, I got no money to pay them. Because sometimes people are taught that.
People are taught that. I mean, I have family members like that. Every time I move, for the most of my family members, I always use the younger people because all I have to do is feed them. And I do have to come out of some. But the older family members, they be like, I'm like, Mom, your brother's a trick. She got out to pay. It don't make sense. Anytime you need anything, I help you, but then you know I'm in a bind. But that's just how some people are.
And if you have the money,
yes, give people money, even if they don't have. My mother always told me, she said, always give but never ask.
Yeah.
So that's how we always done. When people ask them, just give it to them. Don't expect anything back, or never give out more than you can. Okay, it doesn't matter. Tuesday's lesson, I lose my train of thought every day. Okay, work and excellence. I do too. It was like the building of the sanctuary. Oh my goodness, there was so many instructions, so many details.
Yes.
And God provided it all.
You know, when fussing about losing my hand. But you know, if God would have just told him to go build this, then Moses would have did it out of his own thinking. And it might not, and it probably wouldn't have met the standard that God wanted. But God turned around and gave him all the plans and all the details and everything, and God, Moses fulfilled that plan.
What about the temple, Solomon's temple? That was amazing.
They said that was one of the
No,
beautiful cities in the
can you
world.
imagine you're doing your skill and you have all your measurements, and when you put it together, it puts together like a puzzle. I love that.
When you follow instruction,
Here we go.
when you follow instruction, a lot of time we want to shortcut things. We want to, yeah, you know, we shortchange things. We try to find the easiest, the simplest way to do things. And I think that's what we've gotten into a habit of doing. Not realizing that even God could have had this built. Well, this is God. He created everything. He could have just dropped the sanctuary down from heaven and been like, there you go.
Yeah.
This is so holy, I don't even want y'all to deal with it, so I'm just gonna drop it from heaven, there you go. But he didn't do that.
I think he did that just so they could get the connection between them and him, and also the significance of what they were doing and what it meant. You know, I think that's why he had them detail that. You know, and we talking about a lot of gold within this thing. This is.
Erica, you have something?
There's a story, see if I remember. There's this two guys, employee, and the employer told the employee, I want you to go and build this house at a certain place, and I'm gonna give you this, and help me out, Vicky, because I don't remember about material, and I guess he used the cheapest material he could to build this house. It wasn't for him, it was the employer, you know. And then towards the end, the house was finished. The employer went and told him, you know, this house is for you. This is your house. Imagine, he used the cheapest material and probably didn't put his heart into it.
I think of your job, and I go and get something fixed, like I want an Impossible Burger. But what if you didn't put my tomato on? What you cut my tomato in half or my pickles in half? It don't matter. People ain't gonna know. I'm gonna hurry up and wrap this up, and especially it's in to go. And so some people love pickles, and they look great. That's supposed to have two.
You know, I'm not even gonna cut you off. I had that issue yesterday. It wasn't even me. It was one of the employees making the sandwich. She's actually just become a manager. And the man said, I just watched her and she didn't make my sandwich right. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, she's a manager. She knows how to make the food. She should be making it the right way. And now I'm like, but how do I explain that? Like, sir, I'm going to apologize. We have to fix this sandwich. And then the store manager was even tripping. He had everything he was supposed to, it just wasn't in the right order. That's not the point. Do things the way they're supposed to be. I tell them all the time, your name is not on the building. I don't care if they want you to put 3 sprinkles of salt on there. If that's what the company says, do it, and you won't have any issue, right? So people don't like to follow. People don't like to follow instructions.
But let me tell about Bertha. She's gonna tell you. She was the manager of her house that she worked in. She kept her books exactly like they were supposed to be kept. Well, her boss would have her go over all these people's houses to get these books in order, because if the big people came, then you would be in trouble. Berta constantly was having to fix these people's books. They would not keep them in order. Now, she was taught to do everything in the right way as us, because she was really over us because my parents worked a lot. She taught us the right way. And so I tell her, thank you all the time for teaching us about cleaning up the right way, doing dishes the right way. When she started working and they didn't feel like they needed to do dishes and stuff, they paid their siblings, Xavier, for the chores. But that was something, I told Carla the other day, me and my sisters are still friends today because of how we treat each other. There are some families that they're not friends with their siblings, And so doing something the right way, learning from God's word, she was taught the right way, and then our parents start teaching us God's word. Let me just say one more thing. My mom told us, angels won't come in your house if it's not clean. That stuck with me. And you don't never know who's coming in your house. If it's a stranger that knocks on your door, it could be an angel that needs that drink of water or whatever. So I'll be telling Miss Carla, we gotta make sure this is clean right here. We're not perfect.
Well, going back to that same job, your manager the same way with us on our job when we go behind somebody else, and the customer sees something that if I straighten it out the right way, but they end up questioning me why that other guy didn't do it. And the worst thing, and I usually have a definitive with some of the texts. You can put a definitive thing. This is not to throw him under the bus.
Yeah.
But this one customer did it, and there was nothing I can say. And I remember we had a meeting. And the first thing I addressed is say, hey, if y'all want us to not throw you under the bus, you better make sure that you do your stuff right.
That's it.
Because and I told him, I said, I had a customer ask me about this same situation, and I didn't have an answer for him. And it was sad because they could have did it right the first time. And yeah.
And it makes everybody look bad too. Oh, I'm having issues there.
But also, when you do things right, is Moses here, to get his instructions right, he got blessed.
Yeah.
The people were blessed.
Yeah.
So everybody benefits from these blessings of doing things correctly.
Anybody else? Let's try a few more minutes.
Galatians, am I on the right day?
That was Wednesday's
Oh, sorry.
work in spirituality.
I'm sorry.
Just want to say that on that table that he had to build, the table of showbread, he had to make sure that table was correct.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody could go build a table, but that table had to be exactly the way he wanted it. And that's what he had to do.
Specific instructions for a table.
Yeah,
just follow the instructions. Yeah. You follow the instructions you give, and you can't get in trouble for it. You cannot get in trouble for the instructions that you're given. But if you shortcut it, you're accountable for it. But look, even if they give you the wrong instructions, look, this is what you told me to do, this is what I did. And you can't get in trouble, you can't be held accountable for it.
My mom, we had to do certain things growing up. So when mom and them came home, we didn't get in trouble. Maybe we did it first, or I don't remember. But like we couldn't put toys under our bed or put clothes under our bed or nothing like that. Because when you walk up the stairs, you see under the beds, and we had this little other place that you could throw the toys, but everything had to be clean. My dad checked things. And if he had to come up the stairs, oh boy, line up 8 little girls, but not me. But I'm just saying, our parents, we didn't have to get in trouble and get fussed at if you did what you were supposed to do. One of my sisters, she was so rebellious. And so, but if you do what you're supposed to do, it can be a happy day, you know? And that's what I tell my grandkids, that's what I told my kids. Like I said, have problems at work. Let's not have problems at home. Because we love each other and we want to help out mom. We want to help out dad. If mom don't have to go in there and cook and you cook something, might not be the best, but if she ain't got to cook or clean the dish, mom, I got the dishes. You cooked. Oh man, we're living, that's giving us a little bit of heaven.
That's it. Galatians 5:22-26. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such there is no law. And those who are Christ have crucified the flesh with its passions and desires. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Let us not become conceited, provoking one another, envying one another. Goes back to talents. People get jealous because you can do something that they can't do, and not realizing their own talents and what they can do. It reminds me of, I heard a sermon a while ago, and a man said, you go into a hospital, everybody wants to be the doctor. Everybody can't be the doctor. Everybody can't be the chief of surgery. We need every part, we need every talent, regardless of what you have, for the full picture. And that's how we grow as a church. Here, everyone can't be the preacher. Everybody can't be the singer. Everybody can't be the teacher. Everybody cannot be one thing. We need each individual and their talent.
And that's what we're supposed to do. If you have enough men and we need to build something for the church, each man should contribute to that thing. That's what blesses God for everything we do.
The patient in Florida.
Oh, yeah, that's a good story.
A patient lie down in a Florida hospital as his closest friend kept a Bible visual at his bedside. Nurses moved in and out of the room, caring for the patient's needs, seeking to keep the conversation moving. The friend asked the nurses where they had their training. Many had said that they were educated at Florida Hospital College. This made a big impression on a friend. He then he did some special, made several visits. He made several visits to the hospital, Florida Hospital College, to see what it was like. Why? Because he had told the people that the nurses trained at this school seemed to him to constantly give more tender, loving care to his dying friend than those nurses who had been trained somewhere else. That is, he was able to see the big difference between them and the others in regard to their attitude towards his dying friend. Thus, he asked many questions about the college and its mission, and eventually he left a gift of $100,000 to educate more nurses such as these. He has seen in action. Yes, spiritualism is a way of life. It's how you carry yourself in whatever you're doing. If you have the attitude of this is what I can do this, and even you overcharging people, or your attitude towards the work that you're doing, people are always watching you.
You know, when I was going to the HBA school, I went to 2 or 3 schools, and both of them referred to OSU school. And I was like, why is they doing this? And it ended up being the best, and the teachers there were good because they line you up for that type of work. Not only you do just like Jesus, you don't go 1 mile, you go 2. So if you're in that business doing stuff, you go not only do your job, but you see something else. If you can do that. You know, and not charge the customer, but just be whatever you need to do. And they put that sense, you know, which would make them one of the best schools in Oklahoma to go for that class. But you know, that's go along with what this story was about.
Subsequential. fast I get that word.
Subsequently.
Subsequently. I don't even want to try it no more.
You gotta put the Q and U in there.
Subsequently.
You work on it.
I had it, you know what, it doesn't matter. We're done. Subsequently. 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 You know what, it's over.
Don't worry about it, it's okay.
It's so bothersome, subsequently.
No, don't let it.
I do, when I can't get something, I have to do it until I can get it.
Google will help you pronounce it.
Google.
Google
Google.
will help you pronounce it.
Subsequently.
It will.
It might.
Webster Dictionary.
I'm not talking to you anymore. Okay, so in closing, Candace probably will start waving at me.
Yeah, that I'm not the only one.
In closing, we have to work. The Lord gave us our abilities to do our work. He gave us ability to help others in our work, and not only for financial gain, but to honor Him, because He gave us those gifts. Everything that we have came from the Lord, and we have to remember He put us here to help others to further His ministry. Let us pray. Father God, we come to you thanking you for your love, your mercies, and your grace. Father, please help us to always remember that any good thing that we can do of ourselves is not us ourselves, but the gift that you have given us, Lord. Help us to help those in need, Lord. Help us to help those who have a need, even if they don't ask, Lord. Give us that spirit of discernment and always to follow your word. Lord, please be with us for the rest of our service. In Jesus'